Alright YouTube, just coming at you with an update. Showed these pickups in a previous video that I uploaded about a week ago, and I wanted to show the progress so far since one shoe is almost completely done, save for potentially retro brighting the soles. Not necessarily the midsoles or the uppers, just the soles. So anyway, this is the original Playoff 12 in my favorite size, 12.5. Showed you all those specs last time. Got the original box, and black plastic wrap paper, or quote-unquote tissue paper that's not really paper. And so far, this is where we've gotten. So this shoe, except for having the laces removed, is completely untouched the way I received it out of the box. Probably showed this to you last time. Quite dirty. Crease pretty bad, at least one pretty gnarly crease across the back edge of the toe box there. Some mild creases on the reptile patterned leather, which is nice and thick on the OGs. It's literally like twice the thickness of the retros. I actually just sold my 2004 retros because of having two pairs of these. I just really didn't have a use for it. I'd rather have the originals anyway. It's fun to have both. I can always come across another pair, I'm sure, especially when everybody's hype beasting for the 2012, so I could care less about, but I like originals, and everything else is really just kind of a copy anyway. So, not to say I don't buy retros, but when I can have an original pair, I'll take it. Still got a lot of sock lint in these. I can get that to kind of focus in. It's a little tricky because it's so dark. But it's on both sides. And hopefully that's another thing that you have to tackle. And the creasing, and they just need to be cleaned. And you can actually see some full-on dirt right there, to kind of where the bottom of the laces go. But they're otherwise in really good shape, as was already talked about in the previous video, in terms of very mild heel drag. Most of the texture is still there. The herringbone pattern on the traction pads is really solid. Funny enough, this part is almost more of a discoloration, where the black was never necessarily black more than it is wear, so it's kind of a hard thing to tell the difference of, but nonetheless the traction's really solid on these. So what I've done with the right shoe is, it's on my left side here, but the right shoe, besides relacing it, I heat treated the laces with a lace gun to remove all the frays. It works quite well. It's not flawless, but you just run these in front of a heat gun. I actually keep the heat gun stationary, and it's hard to get laces in focus because it's such a thin thing here. But if I can, anyway, the bottom line is get all the frays out. That's pretty key. And then did that obviously with the laces off, and then I removed the lint entirely from the back of the shoe. In fact, you really won't see any, hardly at all. There's a couple little flecks in there, in that deep crease, which are a little hard to get. Not super picky about it, but I did pretty much get all the rest of the lint out. Like 95% of it, I'd say. It's not really anywhere to be found in there. Did a lot of trim up on little frayed edges. Anything like where you're seeing here, where you got these little pieces of additional thread, anything like that was all trimmed up on these. And then probably the biggest project I've done on them so far is decreasing the toe box with handy dandy iron, which is why I come to you on an ironing board. So this was done a couple days ago, and with not a whole lot of effort, I really only focused on this crease. Didn't get crazy with this, and the main reason why is because I don't want the reptile print to disappear. If you iron too much, you will iron any kind of a print or grain right out of leather. It'll make it smooth. So I'm not overly concerned about mild creasing on the mud guards on the side here. So I'd rather have the print than care about a crease. But I was able to very nicely get rid of that crease, and you can really, it's just like a faint shadow of what it once was across there. I stuffed it using old socks, old single Nike socks for the most part. And that crease there, I worked on a little bit, but again, not enough to really disrupt the pattern of the reptile skin in the leather. And then of course the soles and midsoles are cleaned. This also gives me a true indication of where they're yellow at the worst, and they're not, like literally spick and span bleach clean, but they are as clean as a magic eraser can get them, which is really fine for me. Obviously a noticeable difference in the shades of white. Phylon almost has a bit of a blue-white tint to it, and then more of a true white on the reptile guard, maybe a little bit gray, and then the obvious kind of yellowing that takes place on anything aged in rubber. Same as 11s happens on 12s, even though they're not clear soles. But nonetheless, I'm really happy with how those have turned out. My measuring stick being, so far anyway, being my size 12 pair of originals, and these are actually slightly more creased than the ones I just ironed. I have the mud guards a little cleaner, the soles are a little wider, and they are not my favorite size. I can fit a 12 fine, but their older pairs tend to fit a little narrower and a little shorter, and so I always like finding that half size up to give myself a little more toe room in my long skinny feet. And then I did hash lace them because I like the way it makes the 2-3 stand out on 12s. I pretty much hash lace all of them. It's like a one shoe, I do that too religiously. Sometimes a little bit crooked, but you get the point. So that's the work that I have to do there, so I figured I'd just do one shoe entirely, see how it treats me. Couple notes. One is I didn't iron long enough to create any separation of any kind. Very much stuck to ironing just this piece here, so that the iron really was only focused over here and never getting like down and around near where the seams are between the midsole and the sole, the toe cap portion of the sole. So, I saw a little bit of bubbling, but some of that was already pre-existing as well, and it did not separate. I even tested it while I was doing it, because one thing to really keep in mind is don't ever iron to the degree that you're seeing separation. So stop and let it cool off and try it again if that's part of the problem. So anyway, that's where we're at with these, and hopefully we'll get them looking as good as those soon. And if I retro ride them, I'll keep you updated, and I'll just get on to the left shoe next. Peace.